Welcome to our deep dive into the 5 types of preppers who fail. Now, we all know that preparedness is key, but not all prepping strategies are created equal. Some are doomed from the start, while others are simply a recipe for disaster. In today's video, we're going to pull back the curtain on these common pitfalls and reveal the 5 profiles of preppers who, despite their best intentions, often find themselves on the wrong side of survival. From the overly confident who underestimate potential disasters, to the underprepared who fail to account for realistic scenarios, we're going to delve into what makes these approaches flawed. We'll also look at the gear collectors, the lone wolves, the panic preppers, and the minimalist preppers. Understanding these profiles will help you refine your strategies and strengthen your preparedness plans. So let's embark on this journey together and ensure that we're ready for whatever life throws our way. First up, we have the overconfident optimist. This type of prepper has an unwavering faith in their own abilities, often underestimating the sheer magnitude of potential disasters, while overestimating their own level of preparedness. Now, optimism is a wonderful quality to have, especially in times of crisis. It helps to keep morale high and can push us to work towards our goals. However, when it comes to prepping, overconfidence can be a slippery slope. It can lead to a lack of comprehensive planning and a failure to account for realistic scenarios. Imagine this. You're the overconfident optimist. You've got your bug-out bag packed and you're confident you can survive in the wilderness for weeks on end. But have you considered what would happen if you ran out of food, or if you encountered hostile wildlife, or if you got injured and couldn't move? These are realistic scenarios that the overconfident optimist often overlooks. So how can you avoid falling into this trap? It's all about realistic scenario planning and continuous learning. You need to assess the risks accurately. Consider all possible outcomes, not just the ones that seem most likely to you. And remember, the world of prepping is vast and constantly evolving. There's always something new to learn, a different skill to acquire, a better strategy to adopt. Regular drills and preparedness exercises are also crucial. They not only test your readiness for different scenarios, but also give you the opportunity to identify any weaknesses in your plan. And when you find those weaknesses, don't shy away from them. Instead, use them as opportunities to learn, to grow, and to become a better prepper. Remember, an optimistic outlook is great, but it should be grounded in reality. Don't let overconfidence cloud your judgment. Take the time to plan, to practice, and to prepare, because in the world of prepping, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. Next, we have the gear collector. This is the type of prepper who treats survival like a shopping spree. They believe that the best way to prepare is to acquire the latest and most expensive gear, often neglecting the fundamental skills and practical knowledge that are the true backbone of survival. You see, the gear collector is often dazzled by the newest survival gadgets, the latest high-tech tools, and the shiniest camping gear. Their focus is on acquisition rather than application. They stockpile equipment with the belief that having the right tools will be enough to see them through any disaster. But here's the thing. Gear is only as good as the person using it. You can have the most advanced survival kit in the world, but if you don't know how to use it effectively, it's about as useful as a chocolate teapot. Moreover, an over-reliance on gear can become a critical vulnerability. What happens if that fancy water purifier breaks, or you lose your top-of-the-line multi-tool? Skills, on the other hand, can't be lost or broken. They don't run out of batteries or get left behind in a hasty evacuation. So while having the right gear can certainly make survival easier, it should never be your only strategy. Instead, focus on developing practical skills. Learn how to start a fire without matches, how to find water in the wild, how to build a shelter with just the materials around you. These are the skills that will keep you alive when all else fails. When it comes to gear, prioritize essential items that support basic survival needs. A sturdy knife, a reliable fire starter, a basic first aid kit. These are the things that should top your shopping list. Luxury items and high-tech gadgets can come later, once you've covered the basics. Remember, prepping isn't about having the most gear. It's about being prepared to survive with the least. So, by all means, invest in quality equipment, but don't neglect the importance of practical survival skills. Striking a balance between gear and skills is vital in prepping. Make sure you're a survivor, not just a collector. Moving on, we have the lone wolf. This is the prepper who stands alone, determined to face every challenge and crisis single-handedly. The lone wolf is often characterized by a strong sense of independence and self-reliance. However, this approach to preparedness can lead to a range of potential disadvantages. The lone wolf, by definition, isolates themselves from the community. They plan to tackle every scenario solo, often ignoring the immense benefits that come with community cooperation and mutual aid. While the idea of standing alone might seem appealing to some, this isolation can lead to significant disadvantages in times of widespread crisis. Let's consider the reality. In a disaster or emergency situation, resources can be stretched thin, and the responsibilities can be overwhelming for a single individual. Without the support of a community, the lone wolf can quickly find themselves facing insurmountable odds. But there's a solution to this. One of the most effective ways to mitigate the risks of going it alone is to build a network of like-minded individuals. This doesn't mean giving up your independence or self-reliance. Instead, it's about recognizing the value of cooperation and mutual aid in times of crisis. Forming a resilient support system can make all the difference when disaster strikes. This could be as simple as building relationships with your neighbors, joining a local prepper group, or even creating an online network of individuals who share your preparedness goals. Maintaining this support system requires effort and commitment. Regular communication, mutual respect, and a shared understanding of each other's skills and resources are key. Remember, in a crisis, your network can provide invaluable support, resources, and even manpower. So, if you find yourself identifying with the lone wolf, consider reaching out and building connections. Remember, prepping isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving in the face of adversity. And that's much easier to achieve with a supportive community at your back. Prepping is not a solo endeavor, it's a community effort. Next on the list is the panic prepper. Now, this type of prepper is often seen scrambling at the 11th hour, making hasty decisions when a crisis is already upon us. The panic prepper tends to react rather than prepare. Their impulsive decisions can lead to inefficient use of resources and poor strategic positioning. Think of it this way: if you're trying to build a shelter in the midst of a storm, your chances of success and survival are significantly reduced compared to if you had built that shelter well in advance. Panic preppers often find themselves in this precarious situation, rushing to gather supplies and put together a plan when time is of the essence. This reactive approach to emergency preparedness can lead to costly mistakes, oversights, and even endanger survival. But fear not, if you find yourself identifying with the panic prepper, there are ways to turn this around. The first step is recognizing the importance of maintaining a calm, calculated approach to crisis management. It's about the shift from a reactive mindset to a proactive one. Start by developing a comprehensive plan well before disaster strikes. This plan should include a detailed list of necessary supplies, a step-by-step guide for what to do in various emergency scenarios, and contingency plans for when things don't go as expected. Secondly, practice stress management. High-stress situations can cloud judgment and lead to panic-induced mistakes. Techniques such as deep breathing, meditation, and even regular physical exercise can help manage stress levels and improve decision-making under pressure. Lastly, conduct drills. Practicing your plan in a controlled environment can help you identify any gaps in your strategy and give you a sense of calm and readiness when facing a real crisis. Remember, prepping is not just about the end of the world scenarios. It's about being prepared for any emergency, big or small, and being able to respond effectively. Being prepared means staying calm and making thoughtful decisions, even under pressure. So start today and turn your panic into preparedness. Finally, we have the Minimalist Prepper. These individuals believe in the mantra, less is more. While this approach can be strategic, it can also come with its own set of challenges. Minimalist preppers often stock the bare minimum, focusing on simplicity and efficiency over abundance. This might work for a short-term crisis, but it can leave them underprepared for more severe or prolonged emergencies. Shortages could become a real risk, turning their minimalist approach into a potential downfall. The key here is to efficiently maximize resources. This doesn't mean you need to stockpile to the ceiling, it's about making smart choices with what you have. Consider which items have multiple uses or can be easily replenished. For instance, a water filter can be more valuable than a dozen bottles of water because it provides a sustainable source of clean water. Now, how does a minimalist prepper evaluate their actual needs? It's all about assessing potential threats and your personal circumstances. Think about the risks in your area, whether that's natural disasters, power outages, or something else. Then, consider your personal needs. Do you have medical conditions to consider? How many people are in your household? By asking these questions, you can create a tailored preparedness plan. For instance, if you live in a hurricane-prone area, your needs will be different than someone living in a location with frequent power outages. Similarly, a family of 4 will have different needs than an individual prepper. Strategic stockpiling is another useful tool for the minimalist prepper. This involves gradually building up a reserve of essential items over time. It's not about hoarding, but about having a safety net. Remember to rotate your stockpile to keep your supplies fresh and usable. Minimalism can be strategic in prepping, but it's important to ensure you're adequately prepared for all scenarios. It's about finding that balance between not having enough and having just what you need. As with all things in prepping, it's a continual learning process. So keep refining your plan, and remember, being prepared is about more than just surviving. It's about thriving during challenging times. We've explored the 5 types of preppers who fail and how you can avoid falling into these categories. We started with the overconfident optimist who needs to embrace realistic scenario planning and continuous learning. Then we addressed the gear collector, who should balance their love for equipment with practical survival skills. The lone wolf came next, emphasizing the power of community and cooperation. We also discussed the panic prepper, reminding us all about the importance of a calm, calculated approach to crisis management. Finally, we looked at the minimalist prepper, advocating for strategic stockpiling based on potential threats and personal circumstances. Remember, successful prepping is not about being overly optimistic, hoarding gear, going solo, reacting in panic, or being too minimalist. It's about finding the right balance, making realistic assessments, and striving for continual improvement. Don't just collect gear or plan in isolation. Build a robust strategy that covers all bases. Until next time, stay prepared.